Hello, students! Welcome to today's explainer lesson. Please take your seats and make yourselves comfortable. Today, we have a very interesting and practical topic to discuss. We are going to look at understanding basic data concepts. In our modern digital world, data is absolutely everywhere around us, and it is very important that we understand exactly what it means and how it works in our daily lives. Let's quickly look at what we will cover today. Just like reading from your textbook, we will go step by step. First, what is data? Second, its importance in daily lives. Third, the primary types of data. Fourth, methods of collecting data. Fifth, organizing your data. And finally, sixth, representing data clearly. So, let's begin with Chapter 1. What is data? This is the foundation of all modern information. Let's look at the definition. Data is raw information that can be processed and analyzed to get useful information, providing meaningful insights for decision-making. Simply put, data consists of raw facts. On their own, these facts might not mean much, but when we organize and process them, they become clear information that helps us make correct and confident choices. To make this easy to understand, let's look at some examples from your own daily life. Data is not just hidden inside computers. The exact number of friends you have is a piece of data. Today's weather report telling you the temperature is data. The marks you scored in your last maths exam is a very important piece of data. Even the long list of books kept in our school library is a massive collection of data. Now you might be wondering, why do we need to study all this? This brings us to our second topic, the importance of data in our daily lives and why it matters to all of us. Data is crucial because it takes away the guesswork. It gives us real facts to work with. For example, as your teacher, I rely on your exam result data to understand which subjects you are doing well in and where you might need a little extra help from me. Similarly, a local shop owner uses daily sales data to know exactly which items to keep in the store to increase their profits. Furthermore, scientists heavily rely on data for all their research. Whether they are testing new medicines in a laboratory or studying distant planets in space, they need trustworthy data to make discoveries. Also, computer systems use data for cybersecurity. They study large amounts of past information to catch unusual activities, making sure our computers stay safe from threats like hackers. Finally, data gives you a highly personalized experience on your digital devices. Have you ever noticed how a shopping app suggests clothes you might actually like, or a music app recommends new songs that sound similar to what you already listen to? They use your past data to remember your choices and give you helpful recommendations just for you. Let's now move to our third section, the primary types of data. Data comes in many different forms, and we will categorize them now. First, we have numerical data. As the name suggests, this is data made up entirely of numbers. This is the exact type of data you use every single day in your mathematics classes for counting items, measuring lengths, and calculating totals. For instance, counting colorful fridge magnets or doing simple math sums on the whiteboard are perfect everyday examples of numerical data in action. It is exact and mathematically useful. The second type is text data. This is made up of letters, words, and sentences. It helps you put facts and thoughts into language. When you write your name neatly at the top of your exam sheet, or when you write a thoughtful letter to your grandparents, you are creating text data. Next is image data. This consists of pictures, drawings, or photos. Pictures make it very easy for our brains to see and understand complex things quickly. A photograph of a beloved pet dog or a colorful video playing on your television are both forms of image data that communicate instantly. And the last primary type is sound data. This is data made up of sounds, speech, or music. It can be a voice recording you send to a friend or talking to someone over the telephone. Even the loud, familiar sound of the school bell ringing is a very clear form of data. It tells you instantly that the period is over. Now that we know what data is and the forms it takes, we need to learn how to gather it. This brings us to Section 4, Methods of Collecting Data. We cannot analyze data if we do not carefully collect it first. We can gather information in several ways. We can ask people direct questions, we can read verified facts from books, we can search the internet, and we can use precise instruments like reading a thermometer for temperature, checking a clock for the time, or using a weighing scale. In practice, you might collect data by carefully counting the number of green plants in the school premises, or conducting a fun hobby survey by asking your classmates what they like to do, or measuring how tall a bean plant grows week by week in your science class. These are all excellent, practical ways to collect accurate information. Collecting information is a very good start, but it is entirely useless if we do not keep it neat and tidy. Therefore, Section 5 is about organizing your data. Imagine a student who saved 50 different images completely randomly on his computer desktop. When it was finally time to submit his big science project, he simply could not find the right picture in that massive digital mess. He wasted so much time searching. This shows us exactly why organizing data is necessary for all of us. To keep things perfectly systematic, we must follow 4 specific steps. Step 1 is classification. This means logically grouping similar kinds of data together. Step 2 is structuring. This means placing them into separate folders or neat tables. Step 3 is labeling, which is giving them correct and clear names. And step 4 is storage. This is saving your data in a secure system so it is never lost. Please remember this exact order. We have finally arrived at the last topic on today's syllabus, representing data clearly. Once data is neatly organized, we must learn how to present it so that anyone else reading it can easily understand it. Tables are wonderfully useful for this. Let's look at a real-life example of a family kitchen menu. In a large family, everyone might want a different dinner. It can get very confusing. But if we put everyone's preferences into simple rows and columns, the confusion stops instantly. We can clearly see grandfather prefers chapati and warm milk, while sister wants spinach rice and lemonade. It is perfectly organized and easy to read. Besides tables, we can also use highly visual charts, such as bar charts and pictograms. These use rectangular bars or simple symbols to represent our data. They are extremely helpful when you want to quickly compare different categories. For instance, if 2 students, Ayana and Sanana, opened a lemonade stand, a colorful bar chart would quickly show us exactly which day they sold the most glasses. We have reached the end of today's lesson. Now that you deeply understand the basics of what data is, why it is so important, and how to properly organize it, I want you to think carefully about this question. How will you collect and organize data in your own daily life starting today? Thank you all for paying such good attention in class. Make sure you practice these fundamental concepts at home and do subscribe for more such educational videos. Class dismissed.